Hello, viewers. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. We had to sort this sound issue. Anyway, we're back, and we were discussing why English is so important for careers in the 21st century. And I would like to pass the floor to Zabinapu, as she was saying.
Of course. So as I was saying that English is not only important for the career, at the same time, I was discussing this actually it is most important for our communication, right? And going back to the discussion again, what we were discussing, that is, it exposes a person to a pool of opportunities. For example, someone who is a very good communicator, his career will be skyrocketing, right? He or she
Absolutely.
will have the opportunity to be promoted faster because of the communication skills he or she has. And at the same time, unfortunately, language is one of the barriers in our regular communication at work. And at the same time, here comes the tone of the communication, how we are communicating, and the message I want to deliver, right, through my communication to the audience. And it is a big deal if the audience is clearly receiving my message or not. And here comes the role of the language, and which is the most important aspect, that is the language you are communicating in. And this is the English language. And if you do not know the language well, you will not be able to communicate better. Also, I'd like to add here that Augmatics is an English-only zone facility, which means if you are aiming to join Augmatics, you must ensure that you too have a great command over English. And here is, which is why the importance is, it has just high importance.
Of course. Well said, Apu. And I would like to add more to what you have just said, that English has become so important, or the importance of this particular language has risen to such a level that I don't think there is any particular discipline of career that can possibly avoid this medium of communication. Because as I have always known that, or as we all know, that there are about 7 billion people on planet Earth, right? And among the 7 billion, almost 2 billion people speak English day in and day out, right?
Exactly.
And, the most amazing fact is that not all these 2 billion people are native English speakers, right? So only about 500 million, or about 500 million of these 2 billion people are native English speakers, people from the United States, people from the United Kingdom, people from Australia, New Zealand, and other such countries where English is the mother language, right? So what about the remaining 1.5 billion people? So that remaining 500 million people are just like you and I, people who have actually learned English for their careers, for their personal growth, for their professional development, and for all global purposes, right? So this is a language which can be completely mastered by any person who is willing enough to actually master the language, right?
True.
Yeah. So moving on to the next question that I have for you is that why do you think Augmatics particularly values English so much?
Okay. So that's a very good question, Farhan, once again. Thank you. If I'd like to say, so one of the most important reasons for Augmatics to value English language so much is we closely work with US doctors. The notes, the medical charts we build for the doctors are in English language. And we cater services primarily to US doctors as well. So we have to learn this working language of the doctors, which is, of course, the English language. And another reason is, as a part of a global organization, we also have to communicate in English, right? This is pretty much, this pretty much explains why do we give so much importance to English language at Augmatics. But like I was saying previously in the previous session, so I'd like to add that here as well. It's not about the global organization or also the multinational organizations. You will also see it is the practice of almost all the corporates, even the local organizations, the companies. They do not communicate. They do not send emails, right, The emails are not in Bengali. The emails are always in English.
Hmm.
So this
Right.
is why it's not basically like organization focused. It's basically
Hmm.
the culture of the work, right? This is how we work. And of
Right.
course, if you know the language well, you will always be able to communicate better. It will be clear and it
True.
will be effective. And effective communication is what we actually look at.
True. Agreed. I can't really agree more with you, Apu. Thank you for answering the
Thank you.
question.
Of course,
However,
you're most welcome.
how do you think a person who has not had much exposure to the English language can actually become an expert at it, or can at least develop a working strata of the language?
Understood. So, this question, to answer this question of yours, first I'd like to discuss how do we learn language. Let's go back to that as well, right? We learn language from as much exposure as we can get to the language, right? This is how we actually learn Bengali. When we were growing up, we just listened to the language, right? We didn't
Right.
read it, right? We got to hear. And at
Yeah.
the same time, we didn't know the grammar of it, right? We
Hmm.
got to know the grammar, learn the grammar when we started school, right?
Right.
But before
Right.
that, no. So as we learn by listening, right, we do not know the grammar or any other bits of the language. We mostly
Hmm.
learn it by our listening skills. So this is
Right.
what basically happens. Now, we can learn English the same way we can learn Bengali or Bangla, right?
Right.
To learn
Right.
the language, we need to expose ourselves to the
Mhm.
culture and habitat of the language. We can watch
Right.
movies, we can read books, and we can listen
Hmm.
to English songs. And
Hmm.
if we find it difficult, we can always use the subtitles in the beginning because this is going to help us. This is a foreign language in the
Hmm.
beginning. We might not be able to understand whatever the conversation is, right? So we can use
Hmm.
subtitles and then we can listen to it again without the subtitles. And this is going to help us. We will get to know this is how actually this word is pronounced, right? Even
Right.
if a
Right.
word seems something like, and if you get to hear the pronunciation, it's pronounced
Hmm.
something, I mean, entirely differently. So just to explore
Agreed.
those, and if you were really being very serious about it, so
Hmm.
get to the exposure as fast as you can. And this is
Right.
going to help you big time, to be honest, right?
True.
So yeah,
True.
this is it. So let's learn the culture. It's like if you get to expose yourself to the culture of English,
Hmm.
and it's a very common quote that everyone cites it. Like learn to think in the language that you want to learn, right?
Yeah.
Try to think in English. And this is what
Absolutely.
happens when we start to write down or start to speak. You will see the way you are thinking, you're writing down the same way, right? The flow
True.
of thought is not interrupted there. And then there comes
Exactly.
the difference between formal and informal languages. When
Hmm.
there is no interruption of your flow of thought, you are like writing down everything the way you are thinking. It's informal completely. So we have to structure it a little to give it a formal outlook, a formal structure.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, this is
Agreed.
about the exposure, and this is
Hmm.
going to help us, I'm sure.
Yes, Apu. So, we have this quite prominent proverb, I think, that people say that we become what we think, right? We become what
Right.
we think. So if we're actually thinking English all the time, or if we can organize our thoughts in English, I think that will eventually reflect in our writings and in the way we speak and in the way we talk, right? So I
Right.
think thinking in English is very important. And many people may have this question that how can one possibly think something in English, right? So what do you think about that? How can we develop a process of thinking in English?
Develop the process to think in English is definitely you need to read a lot. The moment you'll
Hmm.
get to read something, you will know this is how something is expressed, this particularly. At the same time, you got to see it, right? You have read it. Now, when you are going to start to think about it, you are lost because you do not know the right word for that. Books are going to
Right.
help you, right? At
Hmm.
the same time,
Right.
books are going to give you the situations, the scenarios that is
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little difficult when you are going to watch a movie, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you
Yeah.
are going to read a lot, it is going to help you faster to think in English, because when you are
Yeah.
writing, you are
Mm-hmm.
actually analyzing the character, right? You are
Right.
exploring the character, and you get to
Right.
know how the character is thinking, right? You are reading the
Right.
mind of the characters. So this is
Right.
going to help you a lot. And it's also magical. The moment you'll get to understand it, you will get to
Right.
know a lot of feelings, a lot of expressions, and most importantly, you will get to understand, or you will know how to
Mm-hmm.
express something in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to help you because
Right.
you get to visualize, you see it, and at the same time, you know it's printed. The spelling
Mm-hmm.
also helps. So
Right.
yeah, this is what I personally think. If you get to read a lot, if you have
Mm-hmm.
the develop the habit to read a lot, this is
Right.
going to help you to organize your thoughts in English language or any other
Right.
language that you prefer to learn.
Right.
Thank you.
So you're most welcome, Apu. So you're basically telling us that reading is one of the key steps to learning English, right?
Definitely,
And
definitely
well,
one
of
of
course,
the
as I
key
agreed
steps.
with you,
Right.
right? And I completely agree with you on that particular point. However, how long do you think a person can possibly, or how long should a person read on a daily basis? 10 minutes, 30 minutes,
Uh,
15 minutes?
uh, 10 minutes, 30 minutes actually will depend on the learners, right? Also, the interest. If I
Okay.
am encouraging someone to read newspaper, I am
Mm-hmm.
sure the people who already, I mean, love to read the news, they will only read for 10 minutes because it kills the interest. But
Right.
what
Right.
you can do, like, go try to find out what your interest is. If you try to,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you like to read novels, if you write fiction, if you write, I mean, like commentaries and sports. So try to find out the field of your interest, and then
Right.
you start reading those papers, right? Oriented to
Right.
that. Might be storybook. Maybe you like to read travelogue. Maybe you like to travel that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how you start to develop the reading skills, right? Improving the reading skills of yours. And of course, if
Right.
you want to learn faster, every day, to be honest, you should spend 2 hours, maybe
Okay.
not straight,
Mm-hmm.
but of course, like with break half an hour, then maybe you go for snacks and again read half an hour. But trust me, if it's a storybook, if you're into, like, reading
Mm-hmm.
novels, reading books, whatever you
Yeah.
like to, this is going to, like, keep you occupied
It helps. It
with
surely helps.
happiness, right? Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Right. Right. So I would like to add a little more to what you said a little earlier about learning any language, right? So just like we being Bangladeshis, we can speak in Bangla so fluently, and we hardly struggle while we speak Bangla, right? But whenever we want to talk in English, we have to think a lot. We get a little shy, or we become nervous, or we lose our confidence, right?
Correct.
And
We do.
and on the other hand, when we speak in Bangla, we don't feel any nervousness at all. And that is particularly because of the exposure that we have always had to Bangla
Right.
language, to the Bangla language, right?
This is our
So
mother tongue, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So as I see it, that a very easy way to learn any foreign language is actually to increase the exposure to the language to the
Of
maximum extent
course.
possible, right?
Of course,
And
right?
although it may
Right.
not be really possible for every person to actually live in a land or to live abroad to learn that land's language, so since that's not possible, so the way we can actually do it from our very own country is by
Right.
increasing the exposure. And one of the
Right.
measures of increasing the
Exactly.
exposure, as you have said, is of course reading. Definitely. So if we read books, maybe 30 minutes, or we study English for 2 hours a day, right? Eventually, we will get to a position where we might not be in the initial stages. Correct?
Right. Of course.
So,
Of course. Like
right.
everything you just said, like they're really, like, important at the same time, and this
Mhm.
is the truth actually. There is
Yes,
no
because
other way.
right. The more we read, the better we pick up the instincts, the natural instincts, right? And
Exactly.
maybe, after a certain time, we could, it reflects in our everyday speech the words that we learn from reading different books. And the more we watch movies and the more we talk in English to people, the better we get at the art. So I think people should really not take it, take the language as anything scary, but rather consider it as just a language. And most of the time, we're so concerned about our grammar while we speak, right? So we think people might be making fun of our grammar. Yes, Apu.
I'd like to add something here that learning language, right? English actually is similar to Bengali, right? The syntax,
Right,
if you
right,
think about the linguistics, this is
right,
why learning English is basically comparatively easier for us. Because
right.
in Bengali, we have this subject plus verb plus object structure for a sentence. And Bengali,
Mhm.
it also helps, like the structure is also same. But
Right.
in other language, it's very difficult. Maybe there is only one sign that expresses like a whole meaning of a word. But for
Right.
English, it's not. So this is why we can develop. I mean, improve in English. I mean, learn
True,
English
true.
faster. So that's a benefit for us, definitely.
Yes.
That's
I
what I
think
want
this
to
is
add
actually
because
the
of the
easiest
syntax.
language on earth. Right, right. Absolutely. Right. Okay, so Apu, what wonders do you think Augmatics has to offer to an allied healthcare professional aspirant with great English skills?
Okay, right. This is something I would definitely love to discuss because what Augmentics does is pretty unique, right? It
Hmm.
takes us time to make others understand what like we do, right? And we
Right.
do take pride. It's something very proud for me. And at the
Hmm.
same time, it comes with a lot of benefit and also like a lot of accomplishments, right? It offers
Right.
you a lot of accomplishments. So at the
Hmm.
same time, if you want to, pursue your career at Augmentics, there is a big chance for your faster career growth, right?
Right.
Because this is one of the most important, you know, or like benefit, I would say, or advantage, you can say,
Hmm.
that you start to work with an organization like Augmentics and you get to experience faster career growth, right? And it
Right.
also comes with intensive training. It's not like you just get in and then
Hmm.
you are just, you just have to perform and like just go ahead. It's not like that.
Hmm.
You
No.
are very well trained. The trainers are going to train you, groom you up, and you're going to get all sorts of help. And with that alignment, I'd like to discuss how our training is designed as well.
Yes, please.
Where our English training is very intensive, right?
Hmm.
We do go through a lot of grammar activities, grammar lectures, and
Hmm.
the methodology, the methods we use here is both like a mix of grammar translation method and also communicative method, right? And we have like amazing set of trainers here, and we do actually go like Farhan also knows it, right? I'm sure he will
Of
agree
course.
with me. So yeah, so of course it's learner oriented. The trainers they
Right.
do focus on that, like how the trainee tries to like collaborate with it because not everyone
Right.
learns the same way, right? So we
Right.
of course take a deep look at grammar, and
Hmm.
then we do have writing skills development activities, right? We do
Yeah.
write a lot of directed writings. We do practice. We give like intense feedbacks, right? And
Hmm.
we also would like suggest the vocabularies as well. That is going to help you in your like improvement. And the listening skills, of course, because that core task we have with the medics, US doctors, right? And
Hmm.
listening skill is very important. So mastering all these core skills is very important: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Speaking why? Because I already said it's like an English only zone facility.
Right.
So that is
Yeah.
why, because we need to communicate at the same time. And
Hmm.
surprisingly, someone who is good at writing may not be good at listening. Someone who is good at listening may not be
Hmm.
right at writing, right? Good at
Right.
writing.
Right.
And someone who is very good at speaking, you might
Hmm.
find a lot of grammatical errors when that
Hmm.
person is writing down something. So
Hmm.
it actually varies from learner to learner, right? Maybe
It
I
does.
also have that problem. right? So
Right.
this is why our training actually offers this benefit that you have, like you
Mhm.
get to brush up all these skills, right? Master all these skills. To brush up the
Yes.
English, you learn. I mean, you make mistakes and then you learn again. And this is where it actually offers you, to be like be very well equipped, right? I'm sorry.
It
So a
does. It
trainee
does.
gets equipped with a high level of English proficiency, and also we have typing training, right? And after
Yes,
the
Apu.
typing training, a trainee becomes a very fast typist, right? But
Right.
the most amazing part of this job is you get to do the whole of your work through
Hmm.
VR, that is virtual reality, right? One of the
Right.
most amazing side of technology, which
Right.
enables you to experience the nucleus of the technology, the heart of the technology. You feel it, you are in it, right? You live in
It
it.
sure does.
So you
Yes.
can also see how the technology has been changing over the years. And
Right.
you get to experience every single bit of this enlightening journey. So yeah, why not?
Right. Right. Absolutely, Apu. Cannot really agree more with you on this.
Thank
So,
you.
Apu, this last question to you, and that is, what would you like the youth of our country to do to get jobs, or once they are in jobs, what can they be doing to sustain their jobs? Because, as I would like to add something here, and that is
Of
Bangladesh
course.
is one of the very few countries where we have a very high number of graduates, but unfortunately, that number is not the same with the number of job holders in this country. So there are many
Of
graduates,
course.
but many of them are actually without a job because somehow they're not job ready. They have a degree, yes, but they're not employable, right? Employers really don't find them useful enough. Uh, so at the end of the day, these graduates are basically, you know, staying home. We're not having the exposure to work. And so what can we actually do, or what can they do so they become employable and eventually get employed?
Okay, so thank you very much, Farhan, for giving me this floor to discuss this aspect particularly.
Yes, surely. I think
Because
thank you.
our youth, we do struggle a lot, right, to get
Mhm.
a better job in the industry. Right? Now,
Right.
why this happens, even if I have a very good CGPA, even if I have a very good result, I might not
Mhm.
have the required skills that one particular organization may need, right? Or
Right.
maybe looking for it in me.
Hmm.
So, as a fresh graduate, my first responsibility should be what actually the requirements are. What are the requirements from me to the
Hmm.
organizations? What does the organization require from me? So, to
Hmm.
get a better idea of that, and of course, beside that, develop the skills. Mostly the communication skill, very important. I'd like to give one example. So, if you're
Yes.
going to hire a salesperson, right? It might
Hmm.
sound a little off topic, but it's not. If you
Hmm.
listen to it, with focus. The salesperson has a high CGPA of maybe 3.9, right? Then there is another salesperson. His CGPA is maybe 2, I mean below 3, right? But
Right.
the person whose CGPA is below 3, he has a can-do attitude, right? A positive attitude, like he's
Surely.
ready to learn, he's eager to learn,
Mhm.
he's sincere.
Yes.
Might have this,
Right.
right? But the
Hmm.
other person who just only studied and who didn't develop the other, other skills, work on the
Hmm.
other skills to improve, will be lagging behind because I'm going to hire the person who has this
Hmm.
kind of attitude. And trust me, to get a good job in the market, you do not need a very good result. What you need
Hmm.
is your willpower, number one. Number two, your can-do attitude. And number three is sincerity, right? And if you
Right.
have these three, nothing can stop you, right? And
Right.
also,
Right.
never stop, making yourself better. There is
Right.
always room for improvement. Always keep working on you, right?
Right.
You can read books to improve your reading skills. and then you do other courses to improve your other skills, right? But you need to find out your area of interest, and then you
Right.
focus on that, and then you keep developing, keep grooming yourself up. And
Right.
now, in this digital era, we all are very lucky and blessed that we have this opportunity. So whatever we want to do, we have a lot of exposure to that. If I want
Right.
to do, let's say, a makeup class, I have a lot of audios and videos over YouTube. I can go over and easily learn, right? There are a lot
Right.
of platforms, right? Everything is digitalized now. So let's use that. Let's use that. Let's learn it. And as an ambassador, a brand ambassador of Madis, I'd also definitely like to say, please brush up your English skills, because this is the only job in the market that is going to require you to have a good skill in English. And with that
Right.
skill, you're going to, ace your career in mathematics. Of
True.
course, there
True.
are other professionalism is expected from you as well, but that too is very much doable from both the end, right? So yes,
Right.
let's start working on our English skills first, because this is the very beginning, and
Right.
once we are done, the rest of the part will be with the
Will
journey with
eventually
mathematics.
follow. Of
Of
course.
course, everything
Right.
will
So
fall
when
into
a
place.
trainee basically joins, or when an employee joins our office or this organization as a trainee, and following the rigorous training program that we offer them, we can actually
Right.
expect we can expect a scribe or a transcriptionist to be expert in three distinct subjects. Right. First of all, English language, and then his or her typing skills, and of course the language of medicine that they also
Language
learn.
medicine.
And right. So besides just learning the language, or besides brushing up the language skills, they also become great communicators, right? They learn to speak
Of
English. They learn
course.
to write English better, right? And I think
Right.
some other relevant corporate skills also get shaped up pretty fine as well, like writing emails and
Course,
all the other relevant stuff like that.
writing emails, communicating with each other, communicating with the
Right.
vendors, and at the same
Yeah.
time, we have everyday interaction with the trainers, right? Handling
Mm-hmm.
situations, and a lot
Right.
of other situation or scenario based experiences.
Experiences, right? So basically, someone gets back a lot. I think I've received more than I could ever give to this organization. And I think that's the same feeling for everyone else working for
Same
this
here, same
organization,
here. You
right?
just you so nicely and perfectly, of course. Like
Right.
we grew so much. We grew so much.
Yes, we have, certainly. So, Apu, thank you so much for your time.
Of
And I think
course,
we've had
you're
a
most
wonderful session
welcome.
until
And
now.
I also would like to thank you and Ogmatics for arranging this session.
Of course.
I'm really happy and honored to be on this live after such long time. Thank you
Uh,
very much.
Likewise, Apu, we were glad, and we are still glad to have you here with us. And all the best to you. And I hope
Sure,
all our
and to you
audiences.
too.
Thank you, Apu.
Of
And I
course.
think all
I,
our,
I, I
you're
would
right.
like to request the audience, because today Farhan is going to cover conjunction.
Right.
I did eat some of his time, right? Took some of his
No, no,
time, but
no.
of course, just yeah. So
But
yeah,
you
let's
do
start
bring
with
in so much
conjunction.
value to the session after all.
Of
Right.
course.
So thank you so much once again, Apu. And I hope we
You're
will be
welcome.
seeing you more often on our live sessions,
I
inshallah.
hope so
Right?
too. Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Okay, then. Thank you so much, Apu. See you soon, inshallah.
See you. Take care. Stay safe.
Allah Hafiz, Apu.
Allah Hafiz.
All right, viewers. So, as Zabin Apu just said, that we're going to cover conjunctions today. Yesterday, we finished prepositions, and today we'll see what conjunctions are. And on Monday, we will wrap up our primary English training, which is basically supposed to cover all the 9 parts of speech. So today we're going to see the 8th part of speech, which is conjunctions, and on Monday, inshallah, we'll be wrapping up the entire course, the primary English course, with the 9th part of speech, which is interjections. Right? Okay. So I'll be sharing my screen with you now. I hope all of you can see it. Okay, so what are conjunctions? What do we have here? Conjunctions are words that link other words, phrases, or clauses together. So someone asked me yesterday about linking words, right? And I said that there was no particular category as such. However, yes, in its own right, there is no particular chapter or category called the linking words, but we can call conjunctions, we can identify conjunctions as linking words. That's because they do link words, phrases, or clauses in sentences. Such as, let's take a look at the example over here. I like cooking and eating, but I don't like washing dishes afterward. Or the second example here, Sophie is clearly exhausted, yet she insists on dancing till dawn. So conjunctions allow us to form complex, elegant sentences and avoid the choppiness of multiple short sentences. Make sure that the phrases joined by conjunctions are parallel, share the same structure, such as I work quickly and careful is incorrect, right? Rather, or instead we should be saying I work quickly and carefully. All right, I'll explain this even better. So you see, when it comes to conjunctions, what we do is with the help of conjunctions, we join words or word phrases or clauses. So when we think of joining clauses, we must ensure that the clauses or the two clauses that we're joining are of equal importance, right? So we use coordinating conjunctions to be more specific, to join clauses of equal importance. The following slides will explain this theory better. Coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions allow you to join words, phrases, and clauses of equal grammatical rank in a sentence. The most common coordinating conjunctions are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. You can remember them by using the mnemonic device, fanboys, right? So fanboys stands for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So taking the first letters, you form the acronym fanboys. Let's take a look at this example here. I'd like pizza or a salad for lunch. We needed a place to concentrate, so we packed up our things and went to the library. Jessie didn't have much money, but she got by, right? So taking a look at the first sentence here in the example, I'd like pizza or a salad for lunch, right? Here, pizza or salad, both are equally important grammatical words, or both are equally important as long as the grammatical connotation goes, right? Because pizza is food and so is salad. So you want either of the two, not both, but either of the two. You either want pizza or you want salad for lunch. All right. Similarly, taking a look at the following sentence in the example, we needed a place to concentrate. So we packed up our things and went to the library. So you have two clauses here, right? In this one sentence, you have two clauses here, and both the clauses are independent clauses, meaning they're not dependent on any other clause. Each clause in its own right can be a full sentence, or each clause can form a full sentence in its own right, such as we needed a place to concentrate. We needed a place to concentrate. Here you have your subject, here you have your verb, and you have the object of the sentence as well, or of the clause as well. So we needed a place to concentrate. But you did not want to finish your sentence right away, so you added more to it. And you wanted to talk more about it, and you brought up another clause where you have, we packed up our things and went to the library. We packed up our things and went to the library. So in this scenario as well, you have a subject, and you have your verb, and you have the object of the sentence, right? Or the object of the clause. Now you want to join these two clauses. Now follow, both these clauses are independent. Grammatically, they are equal. Grammatically, they're equal. So when you have equal, or when you have clauses that are grammatically equal, or when you have two independent clauses, how do you join them? You join them with the help of a coordinating conjunction, which in this case is the conjunction so. So we find here, we needed a place to concentrate, so we packed up our things and went to the library. Similarly, taking a look at the last sentence in this example, Jessie didn't have much money, but she got by. So here the first clause, Jessie didn't have much money. This clause is an independent clause because this clause has a subject and has a verb, and it is completely able to constitute a sentence in its own right, right? The following clause is she got by. Now, she got by is again another independent clause because you have the subject she and you have a verb here in the clause as well, which is got, and she got by makes a complete sentence, is able to make a complete sentence. So instead of actually making two separate sentences, you choose to join them and form one sentence. And how do you do so? You do so with the help of a coordinating conjunction. So we've chosen but for this case. So we say, Jessie didn't have much money, but she got by. Notice the use of the comma when a coordinating conjunction is joining two independent clauses. So when you join two independent clauses with a conjunction, there has to be a comma right before your coordinating conjunction. There must be a comma right before your coordinating conjunction. Jessie didn't have much money, comma, but she got by. Similarly, we needed a place to concentrate, comma, so we packed up our things and went to the library. All right, I hope you're clear. Now, correlative conjunctions. What are correlative conjunctions? Correlative conjunctions are pairs of conjunctions that work together. Some examples are either or, neither nor, and not only but also. So the main function of a coordinating conjunction is actually to join, again, two clauses that are equally important as long as their grammatical connotation goes. But at the same time, these correlative conjunctions create a contrast. You see, they're actually used to show a contrast between the two clauses. Let's take a look at the first example here, or the first sentence of the example here. Not only am I finished studying for English, but I'm also finished writing my history essay. You see, not only am I finished studying for English, but I'm also finished writing my history essay. So here, you are basically saying that you are not only done with one thing, but rather two things. So not only did you finish studying English, but also you finished writing your history essay. So you've basically, you're done with two pieces of work, or two actions at one go. Or maybe not at one go, but you're mentioning them both at one go. So how do you do so? You take the help of correlative conjunctions to actually join two, or to talk about two actions that you may have just done, right? Okay, I'm finished with both my English essay and my history essay. So when you bring in both, the correlative conjunction or the other conjunction of this pair conjunction is, of course, and. So I'm finished with both my English essay and my history essay. All right, we have a question here from Salahuddin Rana. He's saying, is the independent clause only require subject and verb to be an independent clause? Yes. I would like to say yes to this query of yours. Yes, to actually consider a clause as independent, you must ensure that the clause has a subject and it has its corresponding verb, right? So if the subject, if the clause has a subject and a verb, so yes, if the clause has a subject and a verb, you can consider it as as an independent clause. It can stand on its own and it can form a sentence in its own right. Okay, all right. Now we have subordinating conjunctions. These conjunctions actually make clauses dependent on another independent clause, or on another clause that is independent. How so? Let's read what we have here. Subordinating conjunctions join independent and dependent clauses. A subordinating conjunction can signal a cause and effect relationship, a contrast, or some other kind of relationship between the clauses. Common subordinating conjunctions are because, since, as, although. Right. Some common subordinating conjunctions are because, since, as, although, though, while, and whereas. Sometimes an adverb such as until, after, or before can function as a conjunction as well, specifically as a subordinating conjunction. Correct to say is I can stay out until the clock strikes 12. Follow this. In this sentence, again, we have two clauses. The first clause is I can stay out. The second clause is until the clock strikes 12. Now follow it. If we didn't have the subordinating conjunction until in the sentence, then the second part of the sentence would be an independent clause as well, because that part has a subject and has a corresponding verb, right? The clock strikes 12. Follow it. The clock strikes 12. But this particular clause cannot be considered as independent because we have not kept it independent and rather have made it subordinating with the help of a subordinating conjunction, which in this case is until. So I can stay out until the clock strikes 12. The first part of the sentence is, of course, in the first part of the sentence, we have an independent clause, but the following part of the sentence is actually a subordinating clause or a dependent clause that has been made dependent with a subordinating conjunction. Okay? All right. We have a question here by Arman. Is saying in correlative conjunctions, the clauses are always dependent or independent. Okay. I'll take you back to the previous slide. Now, what do we have here? Take a look at the first sentence of the example. Not only am I finished studying for English, but I'm also finished writing my history essay, right? It actually depends how you use your correlative conjunctions. That's because you may be able to use correlative conjunctions with independent clauses. You may be able to use your correlative conjunctions with dependent clauses as well. But remember that a correlative conjunction necessarily does not make a clause dependent or does not anyhow assist an independent clause. They're rather brought to show contrast or to somehow add more information to something. Right? Such as, for example, if I say, not only am I good in English, but also I'm good in Bangla. If I say this, now follow it, I'm actually adding more to something that I already have with the help of correlative conjunctions, not only in but also, right? For example, you could say that my cousin is good at both English and Bangla. My cousin is good at both English and Bangla. Or I'm not only good at English, I'm also good at Bangla. Similarly, neither nor, either or, these correlative conjunctions show contrast, right? Such as, for example, neither did he nor did she could have done this job. Or either the boys or the girls have gone out without permission. Either the boys or the girls have gone out without permission. So you see what's happening here? You're basically showing contrast with the help of correlative conjunctions like neither nor, either or with correlative conjunctions like not only but also or and or both and. You bring in more information or you add more to an already given information. Okay, so correlative conjunctions necessarily do not have anything to do directly with clauses, with a clause's identification as independent or dependent. Okay, all right. Moving forward to the next slide, we were about to look into the last paragraph of this slide. Here, the adverb until functions as a coordinating conjunction to connect two ideas. I can stay out, the independent clause. Let's read this. I can stay out is the independent clause, and the clock strikes 12 is the dependent clause. Why? Because of the subordinating conjunction until. Otherwise, if you did not make it if you did not use the subordinate conjunction until, this otherwise dependent clause would actually be an independent clause. The independent clause could stand alone as a sentence. The dependent clause depends on the independent clause to make sense. You follow? So dependent clauses do not stand on their own, cannot stand on their own, and they do not make any sense on their own. So they need to depend on an independent clause to make enough sense. Okay? All right. More on subordinating conjunctions. A subordinating conjunction doesn't need to go in the middle of a sentence. Follow this. The subordinating conjunction doesn't need to go in the middle of the sentence. It has to be part of the dependent clause, but the dependent clause can come before the independent clause as well, such as the example here. Before he leaves, make sure his room is clean. Before he leaves, make sure his room is clean. Now, if the dependent clause comes first, use a comma before the independent clause. I drank a glass of water because I was thirsty. Because I was thirsty, I drank a glass of water. Now, this is quite straightforward. When you have two clauses in a sentence and one of them is independent, the other is dependent, make sure if the dependent clause is put at first, then that very dependent clause must be followed by a comma before you write your independent clause. However, if you choose to put the independent clause at first, followed by the dependent clause, then you don't have to put a comma after the independent clause, right? Just like in here, before he leaves, make sure his room is clean. In this sentence, before he leaves, this part of the sentence is actually a dependent clause, right? So since we have chosen to write this sentence with the dependent clause at first, we have put a comma right after it, and then we have put our independent clause, which is make sure his room is clean, okay? But however, if we were to put the independent clause at first, then we need not, or no, then we wouldn't have to put a comma right after the independent clause before the dependent clause. So we could say, make sure his room is clean before he leaves. Make sure his room is clean before he leaves. No comma needed in this particular sentence. Similarly, I drank a glass of water because I was thirsty. That's fine. No comma needed. But if you bring in the independent clause, if you bring in the dependent clause at first, then of course that dependent clause is to be followed by a comma, like in the following sentence. Because I was thirsty, I drank a glass of water. All right? Okay, I hope I'm clear. Moving forward to the next slide. What do we have here? Starting a sentence with a conjunction. Many of us were taught in school that it is an error to begin a sentence with a conjunction. But that rule is a myth. As mentioned above, a subordinating conjunction can begin a sentence if As mentioned above, a subordinating conjunction can begin a sentence if the dependent clause comes before the independent clause. It's also correct to begin a sentence with a coordinating conjunction. Often, it's a good way to add emphasis. Beginning too many sentences with conjunctions will cause the device to lose its force. However, so use this technique sparingly. So, we've been taught that it's better to not actually start sentences with and or but. So rather, instead of beginning sentences with and, we were taught to go with furthermore or moreover, and for but we were taught to go with however. But however, you just may begin sentences with coordinating conjunctions like and but use them carefully, because if you overuse or if you actually overuse coordinating conjunctions in this way, then your writings just may become choppy, right? They may lose the formal touch that may be important under given contexts, right? So in a formal piece of writing, avoid beginning sentences with the coordinating conjunction and or but. Rather go with furthermore, moreover in case of and go with however in case of but. All right, list of conjunctions. Let's take a look at this slide. So the coordinating conjunctions are only 7, and they are for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. For correlative conjunctions, we have both and, either or, neither nor, not only but also, and whether or. And some subordinate conjunctions are after, although, as if, as long as much as soon as though, because, before, by the time, even if, even though, if, in order that, in case, in the event that, lest, now that, once, only if, provided that, since, so, supposing, then, that, though, till, unless, until, when, whenever, where, whereas, wherever, whether or not, while. These are all subordinate conjunctions. Now, notice some of these are also used as prepositions. So it depends on how you use them. For example, let's take a look at the word after. After can be a preposition if used as a preposition. It can also be used as a conjunction, given you're using it as a subordinating conjunction. Okay? All right, so this is pretty much for today. I hope we've had a wonderful session today with our training lead, Zabina Bu, and with the chapter that we've just covered, which is, of course, conjunctions. And those of you who haven't received the quiz on prepositions, be assured that the quiz has not been sent to anyone yet. It will be tonight, inshallah. I intend to send both quizzes. I intend to send you quizzes on both prepositions and conjunctions by tonight. And on Monday, specifically, we'll be heading forward to our next phase of this particular course, which will be on intermediate English grammar, right? Okay. But until then, everyone, please stay put, stay good, take good care of yourselves, and yes, try to increase your exposure to English as much as possible. You can do it in many ways, as discussed by Zabina Bu. You can read many books. You can watch good English films. You can talk in English as much as possible. And yes, learning the grammar rules are equally important, but learning the grammar rules is important if you want to get to the technical part of the English language, right? But to develop a working skill of a language, you must increase your exposure to the language and do anything and everything that is required to do so, to do particularly that, all right? So everyone, please stay well and take good care of yourselves. Hope to see you all again on Monday, inshallah. All right? Until then, Allah Hafiz.